Welcome back. So in this lecture, we're going to be adding some legal pages, and we're talking about 3 pages primarily. And that is, first of all, a refund page so that your customers know what to do should they want to refund something, a terms of service, and finally a privacy policy. So we're going to go through what those are, how to create them, and everything. But before we get started, I got some very good news for you. This is a super easy process. So Shopify has basically done everything for us. They're gonna generate a template on our behalf, and it's pretty much just, click and go. So I couldn't be happier about that. Let's dive into it. So we're gonna start at the back end of our store, like we almost always do. We're gonna go down to settings, and then we're going to scroll all the way down to where it says policies. And it's almost ridiculous how easy this is. So we have a refund policy, a privacy policy, a terms of service, shipping policy, and legal notice. The first 3 are gonna be the most important. Now, in order to get a policy like this, for example, a refund policy, all you need to do is click on create from template, and there we go. Absolutely ridiculous, but they've done all of the work for us. Now let's go through these one by one, what they are and what they mean for you. First of all, a refund policy. You need to make sure that you actually are going to be allowing refunds before you create a refund policy so that you know what it means. Now, the average, like it says here, we have a 30-day return policy, which means you have 30 days after receiving your item to request a return. And in my opinion, this is super duper important, because if you want long-term happy customers and they get a product that's defect or that there's a problem with, you are gonna do them a favor and your store a favor as well by letting your customer return the product so that they can buy something else they would like and just keep them happy. Happy customers means they're gonna spread a good word, and it also means that they're gonna come back. So the first thing we're gonna do is create a refund policy. Now you're probably gonna want to check this through to make sure that there's nothing that's out of your comfort zone in here. Be aware that when you're creating a policy, no matter which of these policies that is, they are going to be based on your store name, and it's going to be based on your email. So if you go in and you change your store name or you change your email, all you need to do is go down and click on replace with template, and then there's going to be another template generated from your new store name and from your new email. So super important that you remember that. But I strongly recommend that you use a refund policy and that you allow your customers to refund for whatever reasons they have. Keep your customers happy is the number one. You're going to have very little refunds anyway. Scrolling down, we have a privacy policy, and privacy policy is huge. It's been getting bigger and bigger. Basically, you need to have a privacy policy that reveals exactly how you store your customers' information. So that means, for example, when they visit your site, what do you store about them? When they shop from you, where do you store that information? What do you do with that information? All of that stuff. And in order to reveal all of that to your customers, you just click on create from template, and here you go. You get all of this information. So basically, before you get started, you're gonna want to scroll through this. For example, it says things like add or subtract any other tracking technologies used. So we're going to be using Facebook Pixel, for example, but should you be using anything additional from some other program down the line, you're gonna want to add that in here as a source of collection. Disclosure, and if there's nothing additional, then just remove all of these things that has a wall around them, just like this. So it's very important that you do go through them. I mean, they take a minimum amount of time, and they're gonna make sure that no one can sue you, that no one can blame you, and that you're legally safe. So it's illegal to save information about other people without their consent nowadays in most countries. So you need to be transparent what you do, and if people visit your site, they agree to letting you save their information. Okay. And scrolling down, perhaps the most important of all is the terms of service. I'm going to click on create from template here too. The terms of service basically tells your customer that they are using your site on their own responsibility. So should they take any advice from your store, and should they, for example, order too much over their budget or do any harm to themselves through your store, economic or whatever, it's not your fault. Or similarly, if they buy a product from you and they get damaged by that product, it's not your fault. So here you're basically saying that it's completely the customer's responsibility how they're using your store and everything within the store, including the products, information, all of that. So that means that no one is going to be able to sue you if they're doing something wrong, or if they get hurt to take some bad advice that you just make up. So especially in the US, there's a suing culture, so you really want to stay protected from all of that. Scrolling down, we're not going to touch shipping policy because we're going to dive deeper into shipping later on in the course. It's a pretty big deal when it comes to drop shipping. It's even in the name drop shipping, joking aside. And then we have a legal notice. We don't really need to do anything about legal notice, but if you were selling supplements, for example, and they were not FDA approved, you might write in here, these products have not been approved by the FDA. Or if you were giving out psychological or medical advice, you might say, I'm not a doctor. Or if you're giving out legal advice, I'm not a lawyer, whatever. Just any legal notice that's going to further take away the responsibility from you. You could write it in here. For most of us, we're not going to have any of that stuff because we're going to be creating a general store. So we're not going to need to worry about this at all, and not this for now. So make sure that you create a template for all of these three. And once you have done so, we're going to go to the upper right corner and click on Save. Perfect. In the next lecture, we're going to make sure that they're visible on the side too. But this is it for now. And then we're going to click this down by clicking on the close button up there. Now we're going to move over to online store right here. We're going to go down to preferences, and then we're going to scroll down until we see something that says customer privacy. Now, we were just talking about this. Different countries have different rules and regulations. Within the European Union, they have something called the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. Basically, that means that no matter where you are, you might be in India, you might be in the US, you might be in New Zealand, or wherever you are in the world, if you have someone from the European Union visiting your site, you are not allowed to save down their information without their consent. If you do, you can get sued by it, and I believe that the sue amount is anywhere between 5 to 20% of your annual income. So if you're making good money, that's a huge sum. So we're absolutely not going to be taking any risks whatsoever. And you've seen this before. They're the ones that pops up that says, are you going to allow cookies on this website? If you allow cookies, you save the information about the customer. So you need to make sure that you always ask for permission for people who come from the European Union. So in order to activate that, we are going to limit data protection for EU buyers. And customers must give permission before the data can be tracked. Super important. So we're just going to go over and click on activate. Go down, install customer privacy banner app. I'm going to move up, click on install app, and then we're going to click on start setup. And now we have it installed. So now all I need to do is click on save here. And then I'm going to go back. There you go, online store, preferences. I'm going to scroll down until I see this here again. And now I'm going to click on activate. Okay. And now once it's been activated, I'm going to click on save. Now I'm going to do the same for the one down below because that's for California Consumer Privacy Act. Now it's slightly different, but it's basically the same as the GDPR, but it concerns people from California. So you can't just save information about people from California. Similarly, you can't just save information about people from the European Union without their consent. So we're going to need to activate that as well. I'm going to click on activate, install app once again. It's going to take us to the same page as before because we have the app. Click on start setup. Then I'm going to go down to where it says opt-out page, click on add, scroll down, navigation menu link. I'm just going to put this into the footer menu, and we're going to go deeper into detail about where to put the different menus in the next lecture. But for now, for the navigation menu link, make sure that you choose the footer. Once you've done all of this, you can click on activate here, and now it's active. So if I go back to online store preferences, I scroll down, there we go. Now you can see that both of these are active, and that is super important. So there we go. Now we're safe and secure. So if you get people from the European Union or from California, there's going to be a little cookie notice where you ask for their permission to save their data. Super, super important. So we skipped ahead a little and started getting a plugin, but that's just because we need to add in all of the legal pages, all of the legal notices, so that we're safe from the very beginning. Perfect. Now when we've added in all of this, we're going to make sure that people can actually access these pages from our menus. So we're going to learn how to make these pages visible in the next lecture. See you there.